Hey everybody, welcome back to Feedback Loop. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Joey.
And I'm also Jeremy.
Hey, we got a
Oh my
guest
God.
this time, baby. First time guest. Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good, Jeremy. How about
This
yourself,
is going to get
Jeremy?
real confusing.
This is going to get real confusing. You can call me Curry. We can call you... Is it okay if we call you
Yeah.
Smiley
Yeah.
for clarity? It shouldn't matter. We don't directly address each other, typically.
Yeah, that's true.
But I guess it's
Our
just
voices.
the two of us, so it's known that...
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
We got a guest. That's exciting. This is a Feedback Loop first.
Oh my
Your
God.
first time listener, first time caller, as it were. So we're gonna feel things out and see how they go. The reason we have invited such an esteemed guest on the podcast is you mentioned something last night. If there's anybody listening, you've heard us talk about our Discord server. Smiley's part of this Discord server, and he mentioned doing a deep dive on a band randomly, which is uncharacteristic, I would say, of what I expect from Smiley. So that alone was interesting to me, but then something else you said kind of sparked something else in me that I maybe want to talk about a little bit to get more vibes on. So yeah, I guess to start off, what sparked you to deep dive and just speak your truth.
I will. The band is Sub Radio. I was doom scrolling through Reddit, as you do.
Yeah.
And there was a post on the prequel memes.
Nice.
Star
and it
Wars
was-
prequel memes.
Yes.
Clear.
And it was just a TikTok of a band, and it was this random band that I never saw or heard of before that did a cover of Mr. Brightside, but they called it Mr. Darkside. And it was just a bunch of dudes in somebody's basement having a great time, jamming, covering the song, changed all the lyrics to revolve around Darth Vader. And,
Okay. So that immediately clears something up that I was curious about, because what you said was it was a Reddit post of Mr. Darkside with Vader being the singer. And that
Yeah.
means nothing to me. Like what is, like, obviously I know what Vader, like I assumed it was Darth Vader, but in my mind it was like, okay, so this band that he's just discovered has a song called Mr. Darkside, and in the video or in the audio it was like they were imitating Vader singing a song. Is that not the case?
No, it was straight up just
Okay,
a
so it's
cover
just
of-
it's a parody of Mr. Brightside
yeah.
from this band.
But nobody was
Vader-
like doing a Vader voice or anything.
No.
In the...
The
Okay.
singer was doing his normal voice, which
Okay.
that was the second thing. One of the two things that made me want to check them out and eventually deep dive is the singer has like a real good voice, like clear, crisp, perfect enunciation.
Interesting. See, that's super interesting to me, and it makes me want to check them out as well. Just the way that you're describing the vocals being a part, because there is something to be said for vocal quality for sure, but I never like when I'm attracted to a singer or attracted to a band because of the singer, it's never something that's so like specific. I guess it's just like, yeah, I like the way they sound. Like
You're also not a singer forward or lyric forward person. You're much more all encompassing.
Which caused a bit of an argument earlier in your Discord server, but
what happened?
It doesn't matter. I got someone tilted me because they were talking shit about metal music and saying that they couldn't understand the vocals. It doesn't matter. That's a whole other thing I could tilt myself on again. But yeah, okay. So Sub Radio, they did a parody of Mr. Brightside called Mr. Darkside. That makes sense. And I understand why you would find that interesting. Granted, I haven't listened to them, so I don't know what the singer sounds like, but that has me interested, just like the way you described it.
You might not care at all about them because like you're not a singer forward person, but I very much am.
So you're saying that their music sucks.
It is honestly quite generic.
Hey, fair enough. You found something you enjoyed. Anyways, it spurred you to do the deep dive. which is exciting. I have not done a deep dive on an artist's discography in a long time. And I think part of that is depression, honestly. but like I don't know, it's so fun. It's such a fun thing to do, to just like listen through the history of the band, right? And like when something is so inspiring that you hear just a song and you're like, I want to hear everything this person's ever done. Like it's such a powerful and like fun, positive emotion. I think that I frankly don't get enough of in my life. That it's a lot of fun. So I haven't done it in a long time for anybody. I'm trying to think what the most recent would be. I don't know if I've done it on anybody since we've started the podcast, strangely.
Yeah, I did one on Rufus Du Sol back when we first, and
That's
Gojira back when we like started a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, you did more research for my picks than I did.
I did so much. You sent me a list, and I was like, I'm gonna listen to literally every song that these. I'll find B-sides. I'll find unreleased tracks on YouTube. Like,
yeah,
and then we didn't talk about any of them.
It's true. That's funny. Have we didn't talk? We still haven't talked about Gojira at all on this podcast, have we?
No, we've not.
But we did do a Rufus Du Sol EP or album or something, right?
At some point, I don't know if we did an episode about it, but we talked about it on an episode at some point.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, that's like, I guess peeling back the curtains, I think we've probably mentioned this. At times we were talking about doing discography reviews or episodes about discographies more so than just individual albums. So that's what Joey wasn't flying completely off the wheel to do so. He jumped the gun a bit, but he wasn't out of line to do so.
I had so much free time to listen to music back then. I was working in office. I couldn't just play video games while I had downtime at work. So I had to listen to a ton of music. I mean, I still listen to music while I'm playing video games, but it's a little different now.
Yeah,
because I'm at home.
Different. Yeah, exactly. No, I feel that so hard. I feel like because I work from home, I don't listen to music as much as I used to, and part of that is depression, and part of that is like not getting into those deep dive things. But yeah, the dynamic is definitely different when you're working from home, listening to music versus driving a car, listening to music, going into the office. Anyways, getting back on track. So Smiley, you're the thing that intrigued me is the way you went about your deep dive. It wasn't the way that I would do it, right? So typically and I think Joey's the same way, when we think of deep diving an artist's discography, we will find their oldest album, start there, and work our way to the present from going through their albums, right? The band Sub Radio doesn't have a lot out there. It didn't seem. I checked them out briefly. They have one full studio album and then 4 15-minute EPs. So the entirety of their release body of work is an hour and a half, roughly.
Nice.
So the dynamic there alone is different. But the way you at least explained it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you deep dove their music videos specifically on YouTube.
Yes.
So you, instead of like listening to albums necessarily, you went and found the playlist of all of their 14 music videos or whatever it is, and you're playing them newest to oldest. But what triggered the thought to have this discussion is that you said that you like seeing what songs bands think are good enough to make their music videos over time, and it gives an insight to how they grow as a band. And while I definitely agree with the last bit of that, like I said, it's fun to like hear a band develop their sound and to see where they came from and where they are now, and learning about that band is very interesting and fun to do for me. I think it's something that I hadn't thought about a lot. I like music videos a lot. I watch a lot of them. They catch my eye. I mean, especially now that like working from home, a lot of times when I'm discovering something, it's because of a music video thumbnail.
Yeah.
We've talked
like
about
Ants from Up There.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going. The Black Country New Road album that ended up being both of our albums of the year last year was purely because of the thumbnail on the music video. But the way I've always perceived music videos, and I think this is wrong of me, at least 10% wrong of me, I'll say, is that the way I perceive them is music videos are made for singles. They're made purely for tracks that are doing commercially well or that are expected to do well commercially, and not necessarily the band deciding that they liked the song, I guess, enough to warrant a music video, which is kind of what you said.
So, if I may,
Yeah. Feel free, by the way, sorry, you're new here. Feel free to cut me off and interrupt whenever you fucking want.
Right.
Jeremy just talks a lot.
I will just keep talking.
So, the second part of what drew me to this band, I don't believe I said yet, but it was just the feel of the band, like the people themselves, the environment. The first video I saw was just a bunch of dudes in somebody's basement having a good time. And these guys have like 30,000 subs on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, just some EPs and their most recent music video. There was some footage that cut back to what it looked like when the band was only like,
I love that shit,
4 or 5 people back in high school. And
Yeah.
I think they picked up 3 to 4 more people in college or whatever. And they're just friends making music together. And
that's the dream.
That vibe just resonated with me a lot because it just reminded me of my time in high school with Evan, Nick, and Powell in my own band. And it was more like watching them brought me a wave of nostalgia. It was less about the music and more about the smiles the musicians had in their music videos when they were playing together.
That's fucking awesome.
And so that kind of is why I took the stance of their music videos are the ones they chose.
Yeah.
Because they're not like, I don't know if they're signed or not. They're just friends having a good time. And for like smaller bands like that, I do think that they choose it. But I believe for like bigger bands with signs and labels, you're probably right. It's probably the commercially successful ones.
For sure. For sure. Which is why I'm only giving you 10% of me being wrong here. Is it because like, yeah, obviously like it's viral marketing to have a music video. So from a label standpoint, they want you to put out a music video, or they will help fund videos for songs that are going to do well or that are doing well. But then there's also the side of me that I've been thinking about over the past, 24 hours or whatever it's been, that like I feel like even within that, it is entirely possible and realistic that maybe they just have a vision, right? Maybe when somebody is writing a song, they're thinking about a music video, or they're getting together and they're like, yeah, like I have this cool idea. Maybe it's not even someone in the band, but someone like adjacent to the band, because a lot of times like music videos aren't directed obviously by the band themselves, but just like it was very interesting to kind of take a step back from my cynical view of music videos being purely marketing tools to be like, man, what if somebody just like had a really cool idea for a music video for a song, and that's why they made it, not necessarily because it would rake in the thing, the dough.
Another interruption. I don't know if you'll like this band musically, either of you, because it is like...
Joey likes everything. Joey will like it.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's feel-good pop type music.
There we go.
Oh, see,
Jeremy likes pop.
So that's the thing, though. We've talked about this a couple times, and that, like, typically here on the podcast, we're sad boys.
Yeah.
we don't vibe with positive music most of the time, because a lot of times it feels cheap. It doesn't feel genuine. It feels like a gimmick or for marketing purposes.
I will say, I think this band is genuine.
Right.
They do have some few more realistic songs.
Realistic, so happiness isn't real, you agree?
Well, I mean, more deep, I guess you could say.
Sure.
Because Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
All
Fuck.
Because
Fuck.
the lead singer, I'm like 99% sure he's gay, and he is bottom as fuck. So he's got to be like, I don't know enough about gay culture to know exactly what that means, but I do know enough about gay culture to identify.
I heard it on the internet. It sounded cool.
But he has a song. Well, they have a song. The whole band.
Sure.
I'm not giving the singer they them pronouns. But like they as a band.
Good.
Yeah, I could.
It's a safe way.
They as a band have a song called Instincts, and I have a feeling it was inspired by the lead singer.
Sure.
Because he has a moment where he's like, or a verse where he says, sorry if I seem off, I just came here to let my wrist bend down or something like that, take my mask off. Sorry if my voice goes deep, I have instincts or something. Interesting. Like that. So he's talking about... That is
so interesting to me.
Yeah, he's like... I felt like he was talking about his experience with trying to like be out of the closet, but knowing that some people won't accept that.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's where I was going before you so rudely interrupted me. Is that I feel like there's a chance that I will like it, because while I do have a distaste for generic happy pop songs, it does seem like there's something deeper. There's something more genuine with, I mean, even just the music video that you described, right, where they're showing their roots, right, where they came from and where they are now, kind of thing. There's obviously there is still something to be said that could be marketing, but for such a small band like that, I agree. I think it comes off as way more genuine in those circumstances, and so for sure, despite being a happy pop song, I think I could enjoy it because it just feels cozy. It feels warm. You know, I want that for myself and for everyone else, to be able to have genuinely like happy moments with friends making music. Yeah. Like that is the dream, I think. I don't plan on making music professionally at the moment. Dramatic pause.
Shit.
But I like that's always in the back of my mind, and there's something that like Joey and I have kicked around the idea of doing a podcast on what level of fame or success we would like if we were to take music seriously as like a professional gig kind of thing. And I think that's it for me. I think just making music for the fun of making music and sharing it with friends and being part of that kind of collective thing. And it's very strange for me to say that now. I'm realizing that I am a solo musician. Every song I've ever written or created has been purely my hand. I write the lyrics, the guitars, the drums, the bass, everything.
And after you moved away from all your friends you would have played music with.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. And that's part of the reason I came out here is to get a new perspective on that stuff. But like, I don't know, I'm so like, I have the tendency to want to control so much of my own creation that's just the way it works best for me. But I do feel like I'm missing out on the camaraderie.
Camaraderie?
That's the word I was looking for. I knew that it wasn't comrade. I wasn't trying to be a Russian spy or anything. But yeah, just hearing you describe that music video is such a like warm, cozy feeling. And I think that is the pinnacle of what I would like from any music that I were to make.
Yeah, because it took me right back to in Nick's parents' basement, us doing jams,
just having
covering stuff, making shit up. We had some weird freestyle bongo night.
Nice.
Where we just passed around some bongos and slapped on them and stuff and chanted. Just
fun, creative nonsense
stuff. Yeah, it's great. And like, it was in my life about a year and a half to 2 years. And that's some of the only positive memories I have from high school. Like, I haven't
This
talked
is the sad
to
boy shit we like to talk about.
Yeah, I haven't talked to either of those guys in probably 8-10 years, and I still consider them some of my best friends.
Yeah, dude, friendships formed during like high school and younger, like friendships, like there's something special about them that can't be replicated, I think, as adults, because we're all just so fucking like
Well,
cynical.
you're
and full of
growing together
ourselves.
too. Like, you're figuring
That's
out
true.
who you are. Like, and especially like I had literally one jam session with a couple of people at this dude named Max's house. You might know him. I don't know. He was a drummer.
Don't
like,
give his last name. If you
I'm
say
not
his
going to
first
give his
name,
last name because I
we
don't
don't
want to
dox
dox
people on
anybody.
this podcast.
But
well, I just said his last name. I said Max's last
we
name.
We couldn't hear it, and I'll
I
probably
couldn't
bleep
hear
it in post if I remember.
Okay.
it was, but I don't know. We were just playing in his room, and it was like, it only lasted maybe like 2 hours, but it was me.
Only?
Yeah,
A 2-hour jam session is a session, my guy.
Dude, it was nice because it was him.
Smiley's going for 10 hours at a time.
I mean,
it didn't seem long. It wasn't long in comparison to other, like,
to your lifespan.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just you're growing up. You're, especially as like a musician, a person who's learning to be creative in your own way. Because I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like in high school, or at least in adolescence, you kind of pick your creative path, whether it's like writing or art or music or whatever.
Right.
You pick your way to express yourself, and if it's music, then you have a jam session with some people, and you're at your most vulnerable, because when you're in high school, you're kind of, no matter who you are, unless you're a really lucky person that decides to like just be themselves, you're putting on a face because you go to school and you kind of have this identity, whether it's whatever clique you're in or whoever your friends are or whatever.
You're trying to make friends to feel valuable.
You're trying to like be with a group of people. So like we've talked about this where I was like a metal kid or whatever in high school.
Sure.
That's not necessarily my personality, but that's like who I became, I guess, in high school. But like,
still part of you.
Yeah, it's still part of me because I chose that path.
You don't persona.
Choose. Yeah, that was my persona, exactly.
My high school persona was the nickname Smiley.
Exactly. There you go.
We're moving past that. Kind of. I mean, I did ask your permission to use it on this podcast instead of just.
I still call you Smiley because the first time I met you was at a Taco Bell, and somebody was like, "Hey, that's Smiley," and I was like, "Okay, that's Smiley."
Yeah, we're like, I don't really adopt that persona anymore.
Yeah,
because, you know, I'm an adult.
Sure.
Yeah,
like
you're an adult with a child.
Yeah, my bandmates, the main two, Nick and Evan, they were probably the first people to see me without that persona.
Yeah, that is a strong bond.
Exactly. Like you're vulnerable in that moment, and like whenever you're able to be like truly creative, and it's such a thing to put yourself out there. Like me and Jeremy were talking about this before, where like, I don't know, my family at events has always pressured me to like perform because I play guitar. And it's like you're singing, and it's like that's a super vulnerable, intense thing. And I'm just, I don't know, like you're singing and you're doing all sorts of like vulnerable things. It's weird, and people are hearing what you're singing and what you're playing, and they're critiquing you as it's going on. But you do that whenever you're around your high school friends or whatever, and you're all just out there, and people are like, it seems bigger than it is, but it's like they're accepting you for kind of who you are. Like,
yeah, there's not as ironically, I think there's less judgment in those situations.
Exactly.
Just because you're all shit. You're all figuring out like your instrument. You're figuring out who you are. You're growing. Like you said, there's everyone's kind of going through a similar thing, even if it's not the same thing. So there's less room for judgment in those kind of friendships, I think.
Yeah. And in my experience, which I feel extremely lucky to have is my two friends, extremely talented.
Only two of your friends, though.
Well, in the band, the main core was us three. We brought in the drummer. I already said his last name because I use his last name as his name.
So don't say his first name. It's fine.
Okay. But Powell, we brought him in and he came to practices and stuff, but he wasn't like
Invested.
in a core trio. Yeah, he wasn't as invested as us three. And like Evan has been playing guitar forever. He's super talented.
Mm-hmm.
In like sophomore year, he could play like anything he thought of. It was just crazy. And Nick, he played piano, he played cello, he played guitar, he played ukulele, he sang.
He's a virtuoso.
Yeah. And then me, I had 3 months of bass guitar lessons where the teacher was yelling at me because I still had unknown, undiagnosed ADHD and I didn't understand what practice was. And that's the only musical training I ever had. And I quit because I felt bad for the teacher yelling at me.
Of course.
Yeah.
You're a young, impressionable person and an adult is yelling at you.
Yeah. Which kind of goes back to the point where Curry said that it was out of character for me to deep dive in a band because I'm not a music person.
Yeah.
I'm a book person.
I think that's why I was so excited.
Like yesterday was the first time I listened to music in probably a month or more.
Like at all?
Probably.
Oh my God.
That hurts my soul. That hurts my soul to hear. But like that's why it's so like interesting. That's why you are guest numero uno, is because it's such an interesting thing for me. Like, it's not that you don't appreciate music or that you don't listen to music, but your relationship with music is so much different than either of ours.
Yeah.
And that like the fact that something was so interesting to you to warrant even discussing a deep dive, right? You obviously didn't listen to their full discography necessarily, but like the fact that you
I only left out a few songs.
Right. You said that 14, I think, music videos were on the playlist.
Yeah, and I did 2 EPs after that.
Real talk. Did you listen to the EPs after that because of the prospect of being on this podcast, or were you going to naturally do that anyway?
I was going to naturally do that anyways.
Okay.
And I watched some of their shorts and some of their other covers.
So you're invested. You're in.
What's a short?
Oh, YouTube has shorts. It's
they're like
take
TikToks.
on TikTok.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Those get recommended to me all the time. I just know.
Yeah, I have them hidden, thanks to a plugin on Firefox. I don't ever see them.
Well, I need to do that. Back to your story, though. Sorry to cut you off.
No, yeah, it's just like, I think it's so interesting. I think because I'm very passionate about talking about music, and like obviously I play music and listen to music as well, that it's just like, here we have Smiley who listens to music. I'd say you have decent taste in music. and
I'd agree.
And that we agree on a lot of things musically. I do think you are a bit hard on your own musical prowess, because this is the thing. Anybody can play music. Anybody can sing, and I will die on this hill.
I agree. I agree 100% with you.
I do not.
Exactly. So it's so like, it's fun to hear why or what sparks somebody to do it. For you in this case, it seems like it was some kind of hybrid of nostalgia and the private fact that I'm about to release, that you think about singing more often than one would expect, I think. So
yes,
obviously
I have major voice envy. Anybody that has close to a normal sounding voice and can hit normal sounding registers.
Yeah,
I have envy.
That's a false notion, man.
Like
you can sing.
The last time I listened to music, it was sea shanties for the last few months because it's the only time I can sing in my register.
Yeah.
Dude, you just gotta sing every song as if it was a sea shanty, man. Who gives a fuck? You know,
and
you got
Jeff
you got
Castellucci.
what?
Jeff Castellucci.
Yeah, you sent me that guy. I
he's
wasn't
a
a
deep voice
fan,
boy.
right?
Probably not.
I think that was the one that the audio was weird. It was giving me those Jacob Collier vibes, Joey. There's too many layers or something. It's too wide.
That was the Longest Johns.
Okay, so that was a different group.
Yeah, Jeff Castellucci is one guy.
You sent me him a while ago then.
Yeah,
because that name's familiar. I know I've listened to him.
Yeah, he's just a bass, and he sings stuff that I can hit notes with. Like he covered the Misty Mountains from The Hobbit or whatever.
Sure. That's another interesting point, I think, and a distinction that I would like you to make, Smiley, is the singer for, I'm looking for the band name, Sub Radio, is not that, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
That's so like...
He's very high up there.
Right.
Like,
so that's
I'll never
so
be able to sing along with their stuff.
You could sing an octave lower or two octaves lower.
It would be like 3 or 4.
That's what I'm saying. You can still sing along. It just won't. The objective, and this is a certified Jeremy take here on the podcast.
Oh my God.
This is a staple. We have sound bites. We have graphics for these when they pop up. When you're singing, you shouldn't try to sound like whoever you're like, whatever you're singing. You should try to sound like you in your natural singing voice. That's the only way you're going to be able to sing.
See, I feel like if I knew a little bit more about music, like I feel like I'm close to that cusp. If I knew a little bit more, I could probably figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you could.
But I don't. And I'm the type of person that is very hesitant to take on my hobbies because I know they swap all the time.
Sure.
But it's been like years that I've been like, it would be so cool to take voice lessons.
Hey, I'm taking voice lessons, man. And I gotta tell you, it has changed the way that I like perform music. It hasn't necessarily changed the way I think about music, because I think I've always been more on the analytical side and the kind of more like, I hate using the term intellectual side of music, but like I enjoy thinking about music more so than I enjoy performing music. So I guess in that way that like I'm taking singing lessons, it has informed, it has given context to some things that previously I'd only thought about in like very shallow manners, right? I mean, you mentioned, Smiley, that I'm not a vocals first kind of guy, and that's kind of a misleading conception, I think, and it's probably because I've presented it as such a way. I am a lyrics last guy, so lyrics specifically don't hold as much weight, but I really love a good strong vocal melody. That's why I'm a huge fan of Paramore and a lot of the pop songs that I like from like Tuvlu. But yeah, so like taking there's, you had a look on your face. Were you gonna say something, Smiley?
It's just you saying that, it makes me wonder why you don't like Tool more, because like Maynard James.
Why I don't like Tool more?
Yeah, because he specifically does his vocals in a way that it meshes with the instruments. It's not a standout.
It's because like, one singular person at Domino's.
Joey, I gotta bleep that. You gave the pizza place away. That's a running joke on the show. So we don't say the name of the pizza place. but no, it is totally that. It is, and it's the same thing. We've talked about this a little bit in the past with like Radiohead and shit. Yeah. The fan base of a band can absolutely deter someone from liking a certain sound. And I think we talked about this. I went to Lost Lands not last year, the year before last.
2 years,
2021, because last year I was here in Washington. There was a guy on the fucking shuttle to Lost Lands that wouldn't shut the fuck up about Tool and why it was so like how intricate the lyrics were and the melodies and the rhythms and stuff, and like shit like that drives me fucking crazy. I don't know why. I respect the hell out of Maynard James Keenan, right? I love I love his voice and his performance. There's no denying the man is unfathomably talented, right? I mean, hell, fucking the Deftones song Passenger features him. I don't know if you've listened to that, Smiley. You should listen to Passenger by Deftones. I think you'd really like it. It features Maynard. But like,
and it's really good.
It is so good. It is so good. So it's not that I don't respect Tool or dislike Tool even. It irks me when Tool fans won't shut the fuck up about Tool because they think they're something deeper than they are.
They wrote a song where like the beat was pi or whatever.
Yeah, no, it was the Fibonacci sequence.
The Fibonacci sequence.
The rhythm of the lyrics.
What
song
syllables?
is it, Smiley? Yeah.
Yeah.
The syllables, is it lateralis? Lateralis?
Probably.
Black and white. What it's like, yeah, cool, great. Shut the fuck up about it. There's more to that song. There's more to music than that shit.
Yeah,
we are so far.
They are my favorite band, but I haven't listened to them in probably a few years.
Years?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
That's what I'm saying. That's why we need Smiley. Smiley is an outside opinion on music, and it's so fascinating to talk about because it's so like.
I feel guilty because I haven't listened to Pile in 3 days.
Dude, I almost listened to Pile earlier today.
Good.
Almost. It was so close. And that's the thing, like I mentioned that I took singing lessons and joking about pursuing music professionally, and that like I've been there's something that you said that stood out to me, Joey, when we talked about Pile's new album, All Fiction, on specifically the track Blood, which we both agreed is absolutely phenomenal. But I've been working great track, great album. This is our weekly plug. Go listen to Pile.
Go listen to Pile.
But I've been working on as part of like my vocal training, playing guitar at the same time. And so like earlier today I was thinking about it. I was like, man, like I'm so bad at like when the guitar stuff gets too complicated, then I typically get distracted and focus more on the guitar than on the singing, and that throws everything off. But like the song you mentioned, and this is something that I never thought about. Like I didn't think about when listening to All Fiction by Pile. Sorry, Smiley, this is an AB conversation, so you're not necessarily involved. But I didn't think about it in the way that you mentioned, and that is that like Rick McGuire is playing the guitar while singing that song.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
And it is so arrhythmic, and well, maybe not arrhythmic, but like it's very it is very impressive because there's like polyrhythms going on between what he's playing on the guitar and what he's singing rhythmically it's so
insane,
distinct. And like that's why I almost listened to Pile today. I was like, God, it's just so fucking impressive what that guy can pull off. I will literally never reach that level.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
He can have that. That's what makes the greats great, right?
Yeah.
Is that some people have that drive and they can chase that kind of dream and they can hone their skill like that. Like you mentioned Smiley, Evan and Nick from your other band being, very talented individuals. I think there is something to be said for some mystical innate talent, but I think more of that is from drive and the willingness to practice and hone those skills.
So speaking of that, all the way back to the point before we veered off 20 million
Dude,
times.
we have derailed so much. This is a fun episode. I love this.
This is what happens when you get a guest with ADHD. They are so talented, and I didn't know anything, and they were so supportive. They were so open. They pulled me out of like taking my mask off using the lyrics from Sub Radio, because I had a bad and abusive home life, and I just had this fake persona at school because it was nice to be somebody other than the person always beaten down at home.
Sure.
And they brought me out. They were just so welcoming and warm and just open and accepting of everything. Like I didn't know what I was doing, and they were just like, just try whatever you think sounds good. And I've never had somebody put that trust in me when I didn't even trust my own skills. And I actually wrote some bass lines I was very proud of.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's Hallmark movie level, like, inspirational shit, I think. And that, like, it is incredibly, you are incredibly lucky, I think, to have had that experience, right? To have had people that are incredibly talented and gifted and driven to master their instrument, and then also being at that level, right? So there's a weird uncanny valley, I think.
And
humble. Yeah. There's like an uncanny valley, I think, of skill and your perception of other people's ability, right? So as you're starting to learn something, like an instrument in this scenario, because obviously this is a music podcast, we should talk about music. But as you start to learn more about music, right, you're going to get a bit more snobby about it. When you're first starting to learn, you're going to be thinking about the things that you know that somebody else doesn't know. And then at a certain point, right, when you are confident in your own abilities and understand the big picture of music and creativity, it's so much easier to be supportive of others, because at the end of the day, you're just doing something fun and creative.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter your skill level. Literally anybody can make music. Literally.
Especially today.
Today.
Yeah.
I've released music on the internet, so literally anybody can do it. And that's not to sell myself short and say that, like, I'm the worst musician. I can't do that. My therapist would not be happy with that.
And you're doing great. Like,
sure. Sure.
And I'm not just saying that because I have to. It's
but back to the point, like, it is very impressive that the people that were in your band, Smiley, were able to look past that, right? That proves that they were comfortable and they were confident in their skills and awareness, right, of your ability, and what music meant to them was not something that had to be expert level skill on all levels, right? They opened the door for you to, be whatever it was that you were. Not saying that that's bad or good or anything, but, like, just accepting you at that level is incredibly, like, heartwarming, I think, and something that doesn't happen often. Good takes. Yeah. We're 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
Oh, if you got more to say, like, if you got time and more to say, I'm here for having a 2-hour long episode.
I have infinite things to say.
Lay it on us. Take us somewhere. This podcast is for this podcast is for me and Joey. This podcast, and now it's for you. This podcast is not for the audience.
Yeah.
I feel
we just come here to talk.
I feel like I got such an appreciation for music just from that group, because I wasn't going there for music. I was going there for friends.
Sure.
And then I started to, like, appreciate music. Like, I won't listen to music for months at a time, but when I do, I'll go hard.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it thoroughly when I do. It's just, I think
you got busy.
Well, I think it's less busy and more that I just like books a bit more. And I listen to books. I don't read books. I listen.
You like stories. I think there is a cross section between good story writing and good musician. It is incredibly hard to pull off, because, I mean, there are people that are very good at writing and there are people that are very good at music, and to be good at both things is very rare. But there is some crossover. I don't know, Smiley, if you've listened to a lot of, or at least dove into Coheed and Cambria.
I knew you were going to mention them.
But because it's true. They are narrative songwriters. They write stories through song. I mean, they have comic books, they have all sorts of shit. But, like, there are other bands like Concept Album, Mastodon.
Yeah.
Mastodon writes
all
concept
day.
albums for the most part nowadays, and they do it so well. And there's I think it's easy to separate songwriting and storytelling in some regards, like the fact that you listen to audiobooks and don't listen to as much music, you find more joy in that. But I think there's also something to be said for things like Mastodon, where there are concept albums that, if you just think about it a little bit more or dig a little bit deeper into what's being said and why, that like, God, what fucking backwards universe are we that I'm talking about the praises of lyrics and music? But like, seriously, with Mastodon, Crack the Sky, the whole album is telling the story of fucking Rasputin. Like there is depth in story writing in a lot of music that people, myself included, just kind of pass over because they're not invested as much. Not saying I'm not getting into a similar discussion as earlier today with the metal vocal thing and saying that you need to respect Mastodon. This is our weekly Mastodon plug, everybody.
Mastodon.
Go listen to Mastodon. But no, seriously, I think I would be interested, and this is not something that I think I'm going to put on you. This is not a burden that I'm laying down upon you, but it would be interesting to me to discuss albums that are narrative driven with you, or have you listen to things and be more focused on the storytelling aspect of some albums.
So I don't know if I ever picked up the storytelling aspect of Mastodon, but like there's bands that I can listen to and I put them on shuffle, and then some bands where I have to start an album and finish it.
Yeah.
And Mastodon is one of the ones where I have to start an album and finish it.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Mastodon are masters of their craft, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never knew that their albums like told a story. I never picked up on that, but maybe I did subconsciously because they're one of the bands that like I go an album.
Sure.
I don't shuffle
and I think that is a credit not only to their story writing, but their album crafting as a whole.
Yeah.
Their music has a flow to it. Their albums are they're not just an assortment of songs. Joey and I are both album people. We listen to albums way more often than we listen to anything on shuffle. Because to me, at least, shuffle is a sin for the most part.
I do it for some playlists occasionally.
Sure. Yeah, but even then, like, playlists are curated to capture a certain vibe. Just going out to the Wild West and saying shuffle, or hey YouTube, make a playlist for me. I'm not about that life.
Yeah.
But I think it's a credit to Mastodon, because God, we love Mastodon on this podcast, and we won't shut the fuck up about it. We are the Tool fans of Mastodon, if anything. But it's just like their albums are complete packages.
Yeah.
From the lyrics to the vocal performances to the instrumentation, all of it is developed in such a way that you can kind of subconsciously glean that kind of story through the emotions that are displayed in their songs, and it's also there in the lyricism and the songwriting and stuff. It's just god level shit that no one else will ever be able to accomplish.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So Smiley, what kind of music do you typically listen to? Because I may have an album for you if you like music that doesn't sound that great.
I listen to
this is
metal,
what
sea shanties, Bo Burnham,
Bo Burnham, okay,
and whatever my wife plays. I don't choose to listen to that, but I listen. To that.
So pop, metal, comedy.
I have a rec for you if you are ever so inclined.
I'm going to put a disclaimer here. This is, without a doubt, I don't know what Joey's going to say. This is certifiable Joey music, whatever he's about to recommend.
It is. So there's this band called The Extraordinaires, and I would recommend you listen to their album Ribbons of War, because it's very theatrical and very story driven. So
I love me some theater.
Yeah.
You like musical theater?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I love musicals.
That's another podcast in itself.
I was in a play, but I was a techie for quite a while in high school.
Joey, how do you feel about musicals?
Dude,
musical theater.
I mean, they're good. If they're...
we're gonna have another discussion about this.
Okay.
Yeah,
I fucking hate musicals. Just absolutely hate them.
Have you seen them in like person in like a performance theater, or are you talking about like movie musicals?
As a child, yeah, but mostly like I just don't like. This is another episode. I'm not getting into this. We're already we're at 50 minutes. We got to start wrapping stuff up here.
Okay.
That is maybe we'll talk about that in the next episode. If you want to come back, Smiley, you're welcome.
Yeah,
if you
definitely.
If you want to become a mainstay guest on this podcast, you're welcome to it. There's no money to be made here.
You can have 2 Jeremys and a Joey. It'll be fine.
The JJJ.
The JJJ, the Triple J, the AJJ.
AJJ, oh my god.
That's a reference that Smiley's not going to get because he's not one of us yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Anyways, this was great. I love the dynamic change of having a third person with completely different musical experiences. This has been fun. Thank you, Jeremy Smiley.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
Cheers.
Hanging out with us. This was good. He's finishing his drink. He's not finishing it. He has a lot left in that drink.
I wish I had more. I already drank all of mine.
Joey's gone. Anyways, this has been great. Maybe we'll talk about musicals at some point in the future when we have more time to spare. When we're not bound by the laws of Zencastr. Yeah. I feel like this is the 3rd episode in a week that we've explicitly mentioned Zencastr, and that is probably my fault every single time.
Nah, but they're limiting us to what, 120 minutes?
Yeah, we get 2 hours a month for
2
free.
Hours a month
for free. Just jack free. This is great. I cannot complain.
Hashtag not an ad.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. However, if they want to sponsor this shit, then like more fucking power to them.
If they want to sponsor us and give us 3 hours a month, go for it.
I'll take it. No, this has been great though. Really appreciate it. This is good. We're gonna have to do this again. We need to get more guests. Yeah. I think it's something that we
anybody but this Smiley guy.
No, you're welcome.
We need to get 4 people on the podcast next. We need to have us 3 and then 1 extra person.
That might be too much. I don't.
Their name has to start with a J though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need to find a Jocelyn or a Joyce or a John. We know Johns. We got some Johns in the barrel.
There's like 50 Johns. If I throw a stone in any direction, I'll hit a John.
Are either of your neighbors named John, Joey?
I honestly don't know. I don't know my neighbors. I'm not that
Hell yeah. All right. Anyways, we're going to wrap this up. If you guys have thoughts, we covered a lot of shit in this episode, way more than I anticipated. But if you guys have thoughts, drop them in comments that we will surely read because we are all very active on social media. Let me tell you.
I'm on social media all day if social media is Reddit and RuneScape.
We need some way of I think I probably get notifications for YouTube comments. However, this is a podcast and an audio only one at that. So if anybody's leaving comments anywhere else, probably not going to get seen if I'm going to be honest. But we like to encourage if you guys have thoughts on anything that we've discussed, feel free to drop some comments.
Definitely. Email at feedbackloop.podcast.com.
There is an email.
We do have an email address. It is feedbackloopshow@gmail.com.
There you go. Email us.
Yeah, fucking email us, man. If you want to be a guest on this podcast, we'll
care.
take anybody.
Literally anyone.
I don't listen to music for months on end, and they had me, so.
Exactly, but we know you. We will not take anybody. I've learned my lesson that when I open the gates to anybody, we get some less than stellar music.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Don't say it. We're not named. We're
not naming and shaming.
Not naming and shaming.
After record has been turned off.
Anyways, you guys know the drill. Stay in our feedback loop.
Bye.